president at bottom of the 420th inning. So there's a crack in the bat. It's hit. He's running. He's rounding first. He's rounding second, completely ignoring third base. Oh, he's sliding head first into 69th base with Doug Mellard.
What up, y'all? It's 69th Base, the podcast where I hold idiots like Skip Bayless accountable for all the reckless, crazy garbage that comes out of their mouth week to week. We got a really fun show. I'm your host, Doug Mellard. I'm flying solo this week. It's going to be really fun. Got a lot to get to, including, of course, the Cowboys. You know, they beat the Rams pretty good. So where does Skip stand this week with them, you know? Such a roller coaster ride this whole season. Plus, we got Spygate 2 notes. Antonio Brown is still an insane person. I want to talk about that. Got a weird quote from Skip I really can't wait to share. We're, of course, going to make fun of some of his Instagram stuff. And I've got some news and notes from around the league. And a fun story, as always, along with the new rumor about Skip Bayless, which is my favorite part of the podcast every week. So get ready, guys. And as always, please take a few seconds to rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Just to, go to iTunes, wherever, and throw down a nice little note for me. A lot of you guys have been doing that. It's very helpful. It helps grow the podcast. So thanks for doing that. And, oh boy, guys, I was thinking, I haven't made fun of Matthew Berry on here yet, I don't believe. Matthew Berry, if you're not familiar, he's the fantasy football guru. I'll put that in quotes. Just a real weird goofball. Don't necessarily hate him, just think he's kind of annoying, and he thinks he's funny, and he's really not. And he's also not the best person for fantasy advice. Like, he's very knowledgeable, but, I've looked at his column a handful of times, and it doesn't always steer me into the right direction. So there's that. But what you might not know about Matthew Berry, this is all true. Matthew Berry wrote the film Crocodile Dundee 3. I believe it's called like Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. Really horrible film. Very, very poorly written. It's awful. It's garbage. Like most of his fantasy football advice. And it's weird. It's like he's this fantasy football expert. I'm not going to take any expert advice from a guy that wrote, Crocodile Dundee 3. Just not going to do it. But I was thinking about that crappy movie. I don't know why that popped in my head. I think I saw his name on the interweb for a second, and I remember that he wrote that, and I thought, man, as bad as that film is, I would rather have to watch that film 5 times a day than to ever have to have a conversation with Skip Bayless, I really think I would pull for that if I had to choose one of those two things. That's what I would go with. It just makes me feel so sorry for Shannon and I'm blanking on her name, the hostess of the show. Good Lord, as if she needs to be forgotten again. She's always just in the background. Molly, sorry, Molly. Boy, but yeah, can you imagine just having to listen to that every day, knowing it's all wrong? Good Lord. Poor Shannon. Anywho, let's get to it, guys. I always start out with a story. And this week's story is an oldie, but a goodie in my head. This is a fun one. I love screwing with people, and this will show it. I was once in Austin at a bar, and I was hanging out with my brother and sister-in-law, and we were sitting there and having some drinks, having a good time, catching up. And while we were doing that, saw this van pull up, and when the van pulls up, I see that this handful of gentlemen get out of there, and they all are wearing these like ridiculous outfits, like fur coats. They're all matching outfits, And I was just like, what kind of hipster bullshit is this? Like, it was so ridiculous. And so the whole time I'm just like, I hate these guys, whatever's going on. But then the last guy gets out of the van, and it is Jack White. And I immediately put it together like, oh, it's the Raconteurs or whatever the band name is. They were in town. I realized that. They're performing at a place called Stubbs. And I was like, oh my God, that's Jack White. And he's coming into this bar. And we're kind of excited. And then I tell my brother, I was like, hey, I'd had a couple drinks. I was like, hey, I'm going to go fuck with Jack White. Because I just thought it'd be really funny, you know? And my brother was like, don't, man, don't do it. Because he's not a small guy. He's not a huge guy. He's not like terrifying or anything. Like he's not really muscular or fat. Like it's just this weird, but he's big. He's a big guy. And my brother warns me. He was like, look, man, you were the one that told me that story about how he beat up the lead singer of the Von Bondies. And by the way, Von Bondies, a band I really liked for a while there. First album or two, great. And then not so great. Anyway, he shares this story like, man, yeah, you don't want to beat him up because you're the one that told me the story about how Jack White beat the crap out of the lead singer of the Von Bondies. And I was like, oh, that's even better. Because if Jack White punches me in the face, now that's a story, you know? Like, I was just planning on going to mess with him. That would be the story. But if I have a black eye because of Jack White, that's fantastic. Why would you tell me that? This just makes me want to do it even more. So my brother is just kind of shrinking, just like, oh, God, please don't let me have to pull my brother out of like a barroom brawl with Jack White. And I go up to him. There's a line of women patiently waiting to talk to him. And there's this, a girl at the front talking to him very eagerly. And I go up to the front and I yank on his shirt. And this was around the time the film Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story or whatever was out. I yanked hard on his shirt and I said, hi, man. I loved you as Elvis in that one movie. And he played Elvis for about 30 seconds in that film, a very coked up Elvis that knew karate. And luckily, he laughed his ass off. And then I just said, hey, thanks for all the great music. And that was that. So it's weird. It's like I think for him, I probably broke up his day-to-day, you're so white stripes, that kind of thing. And he got to have a guy that was like, oh, this guy wasn't afraid to just be weird with me. So, I don't know. It's a fun story. But on the other hand, I was sorely disappointed that I didn't get beat up by Jack White or beat Jack White up. Oh, man. I am kind of a dumbass. Not afraid to screw with some celebrities. Just not afraid. I don't really get starstruck. Doesn't happen much. Sam Rockwell, one of the few people I got starstruck by. He was coming out of the ArcLight movie theater. I was coming out of the 24-Hour Fitness Hollywood. And I was covered in sweat. Just covered. This is before he won an Oscar. This is a few years back. And just covered in sweat. And I'm wearing these raggedy gym clothes. And I was like, hey, can I get a picture? And I swear he looked at me like, with what, homeless guy? And also, like, why are you so sweaty? I think he just thought I was a crazy homeless person. And then I pulled out my phone and he was like, okay, whatever. The photograph is great. Oh boy, let me tell you, it's so good. I am just covered in sweat and he doesn't look thrilled. But very nice of him to do it. So that was cool. Anywho, I don't know where that tangent came from. Oh yeah, famous people being starstruck. Yeah, I think that was one of the few. Anywho, let's get to the bad takes from Skip Bayless and all those idiots this week. Here we go, guys. Before I get to Skip, I just have to say, as a Cowboys fan, an apologetic Cowboys fan, again, I've been realistic about who we are as a team all season long. I feel like, I've been reasonable about it. I have never been, at the beginning of the season, I had high hopes that maybe it's a talented team. Maybe we could do some damage. But the whole time, ever since those last Super Bowls, I've been reluctant ever since then. Because I kind of know that what to expect, which is not a lot. And here we are. It's a weird-ass season. And again, as a fan, I just want to say, look, we beat up on the Rams. We really did. But I'm not going to be someone that's going to gloat about that. The Rams had been playing well in recent weeks, but they're also an erratic team. And they're probably not going to make the playoffs now, I think. And I don't think we have anything to be proud of. It's a good game. But where has this been all season? Like, it was the first time we beat an above 500 team. So why are people like Skip and all these idiots just banging the table, getting excited? We did it. We're great. We're not great. Yeah, Eagles fans as well. Like we're both fighting to see who will just give the other person the division. It's sad. We can't even do a coin toss right after this week. We discovered. It's crazy. We've had problems all season. The Rams have had problems all season. We just happen to be the one that came out on top. Things went right for us. They didn't go right for them. Let's say we win the Super Bowl, right? Let's just say, what if we get on a crazy roll? We win the Super Bowl. How does that NFL Films look back, the year in review, the path to the Super Bowl with the 2019 Cowboys look? What is that like? It's nothing. It's a horrible season. It wouldn't be a fun thing to watch. Just how frustrating it was all season, and then magically we just got it together, It's got to be weird for, Giants fans that year that they just magically backed into the Super Bowl. Just those magic runs. It does happen. I feel like it'd be hard to watch that film until the Super Bowl, It'd be weird. And this is a year where, honestly, I can see that people screaming for a different playoff format doesn't seem so bad to me. I'm in a position where the current format favors me, favors the team that I like, the Cowboys. They're probably going to back into the playoffs somehow, even though they could have a losing record. They're not great, But this is a year where, let's say, magically the NFL intervened and was like, this is ridiculous. We're going to give it to a team like Minnesota or whoever's on the cusp that's a much better team. Let's just give it to them. They deserve it. I'd be like, you know what? You're right. Just give it to them. We don't deserve this. It's fine. I can say that as a bias, but in this instance, man, I don't think that's the worst way. Like, a team that has more wins doesn't get in the playoffs doesn't make any fucking sense. But all that being said, hey, let's back into the playoffs. See if we can make something happen. Now let's get to Skip's take on this whole thing. Good Lord. The drama continues with this guy, of course. Of course it takes yet another turn. It's been a weird season, such a roller coaster. Skip picked the Cowboys over the Rams in a close game, but there's no way he saw this coming. I mean, obviously there wasn't, because he picked it to be within 4 points. So he had built them up all season, even when it was glaring that we had issues, the Cowboys. And again, this is our first win over an above 500 team. And then he said he had given up on them. So he was done with the Cowboys after pushing for them all season, saying we're the best. And even though he was done, he still picked them to win the division, because he said the Eagles are terrible as well. They're even worse. And this past week, or actually a few weeks ago, he threw Zeke's jersey away like a child and had his wife film it, also like a child. And basically said that Zeke has not been performing well all season. He's not good anymore. He's not the same player. Okay. This past week, he also called Amari soft and said that there is a reason why Gruden got rid of him. So he was just selling out everybody. He sold out Dak last year and then got back on that train, sold out Zeke. He's selling Amari. Like, just such a brat. And this is the same guy, of course, that praised Amari as saving the Cowboys since he's been acquired. But, things start going wrong. Gloves come off for that maniac, and he's just shooting at everybody. And now he is right back to praising everyone. He tweeted how eager he was to throw it back in Shannon's face, how they won convincingly against the Rams. Again, don't think that's really anything to brag about. Like, there's nothing to brag about here, Yeah, maybe, we don't even know we'll win the division. A shitty division that features Washington and the Giants, who just are completely irrelevant, and then another team that is just destroyed by injuries, and their defense is terrible. Oh, man. And, he's now back to saying they're about to take off just like last year, right on time, right on schedule, and finally showing all the talent they have. He even went to so far as to say that they are now the prohibitive favorites to win the Super Bowl. And now that he saw this victory, he even went so far as to change his original Super Bowl pick, which was New England over the Cowboys, and he now has the Cowboys beating the Patriots instead of the other way around by a score of 63-14. That's how far he took it this week after they beat the Rams. He just says that they're on such a trajectory that this is it. They're just going to blow out everybody in their path, including the Patriots in the Super Bowl with that score. Not obviously. I just made that whole part up about the Super Bowl. He did not say that. But how crazy is it that was believable? I'm sure some of you listeners heard that and were like, oh my God, he said what? Yeah, he didn't say that. But he did say that he did actually say this. He says he now gives them a good shot to win the Super Bowl. This is the team, again, that he gave up on a few weeks back. And now he's just back to Super Bowl. Here it comes. The team he had abandoned, and now he eagerly awaits the Niners or Seattle or Green Bay, and again says that the NFC is wide open. And I feel like the NFC is loaded with great teams, and we are not one of them. Shannon made a point that the reason we did so well was because we got Zeke going. And that's why the Cowboys were really clicking. And because Skip has championed Dak all season and shat all over Zeke, he even said that Skip saying Zeke not leading the league in rushing means he's a different player. Like, by him saying that Zeke sucks because he's not leading the league in rushing is a lie. And to which Skip freaked the fuck out. I thought he was going to cry, which is a thing that happens often where you're like, is he going to cry? Like, is he going to break the table somehow? He just screaming. It was crazy. And by the way, like, Zeke has led the league twice. He had the suspension, so that screwed him up another time. But if you look at rushing titles, if you look back, it's not an easy thing to come away with. Like, you're not going to win the rushing title every year. That's just not going to happen for a myriad of variables. It's crazy. There was, in the 90s, there was a flip-flop between Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith like every other year for years. Like, that was crazy. But outside of that, like, not even a lot of repeats. Like, it's just one back after another wins it. And Shannon also pointed out, I thought this was great debating, that Zeke is fifth in rushing and only 2 yards back from fourth place, which to me is not bad, And all these guys are like within decent proximity of each other. And he has the second most 100-yard games this whole season. So is he really washed up? Like, that's what Skip was trying to get over to believe, that Zeke is washed up. And I just think he's mismanaged. Maybe that's all it is. We should just stick with his game plan more often. But he is quick to brag about Zeke when he's killing it. So, like, of course, after this win, Zeke did well. He's right back to all in on Zeke. He even pulled his jersey out of the trash, which he threw in the trash weeks ago in a very staged and sad and childish display that, of course, he had his wife film. And he even kissed it in the video, which is totally weird and creepy. And this apparently led to Zeke's mom coming out at Skip once again, saying he should not be able to wear her son's jersey. Way to go, Mama Zeke. We're right behind you. Good Lord. It's just so funny, again, that, like, Skip's biggest love in his life, not his wife. She is a distant, 200,000 rungs down from the Cowboys. I just absolutely love the Cowboys. Meanwhile, Troy Aikman completely hates him. I'm sure Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, all those guys, probably all the stars, I bet all of them hate him. And Zeke's mother even hates him. Like, the list goes on and on. Even Dak, I'm sure Dak even hates him. And he couldn't love Dak more. When they actually showed the video of him taking this jersey out of the trash, greatest part about the whole thing, Skip laughed at it. He laughs at his own jokes. That is showing a lot of ego, you know? That's ridiculous. Whew. Fun guy. Really, really interesting three-dimensional being we're dealing with here. He did admit this week that he is over-emotional and overreactionary. He always overreacts, but he also claims to be an analyst. And you really can't be both. The reason he got the show is because he's a shitty, overreactionary fan, and people love to watch a train wreck and or shit on someone, and he's an easy target, you know? Like, it's weird to call yourself an analyst, but be... And, you know, there are, like, experts out there that will say that they lean towards one team or another, but the way in which he does it is so insane that, you know, dude, we all know you didn't get this gig because you're an expert. Nobody cares about your journalism. You know, like, you're just a piece of garbage. You're a train wreck. That's the only reason you got this show. So quit lying to yourself. You know, he always tries to one-up Shannon, and when they argue, he tries to act like he's just as knowledgeable as Shannon in football, and it's like, dude, shut up. When building towards next week's pivotal game versus the Eagles, Skip, as always, started to hedge his bets. Okay? We've got a very important game next week against the Philadelphia Eagles, who he has shit all over the entire year, and is quick to point out that we dismantled them earlier in the year, and now, as the game approaches, and according to him, our team is clicking on all cylinders and is primed for a possible Super Bowl run, he is now saying we will win, but he is afraid of Greg Ward. Some of you might be asking, who is Greg Ward? Not a terrible question. Well, here's to get to that. What happened is all of Philadelphia's wide receivers died, and now they are down to their 80th stringer, a guy named Greg Ward, who I believe was undrafted and was on the practice squad, I think 2 weeks ago. And now Skip's afraid of this guy. You know, he'll shit all over teams, and then the week before we play them, like, Dwayne Haskins, he's got to be better than Lamar Jackson, you know, like, he says shit like that, you know, where it's like, we're getting close. He just has to hedge his bets. That way, you know, of course, if we lose to the Eagles, he's like, man, what was I telling you about this Greg Ward kid? You know, I know he wasn't on the team earlier, and they pulled him off the street, but God, Hall of Famer for sure. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm looking forward to next week's big matchup. Of course, I would love my team, the Cowboys, to win. But if we do lose, it will be great. Fun, as usual, to watch Skip eat shit and freak the fuck out. So, man, I can't win. Talk about hedge bets. This guy. If the Cowboys win, I'm excited. If they lose, I'm maybe more excited. Just to see Skip's reaction and his, Twitter freak out and whose jersey he's going to throw in the trash this week. By the way, while I'm on the subject, Skip has been all for Garrett being fired, and he has repeatedly said on the show the past couple weeks that he would make a great coach for the Cowboys. And I know that like he kind of says it in jest, but I don't know. I kind of think he believes a little bit. And, kind of Skip or Shannon was kind of laughing at it and was like, dude, really? With how fucking crazy you are? You overreact to everything? And let's say, for just a second, can you imagine? Let's say hypothetically he got the job, which obviously would never happen because he's a fucking idiot. But how long before Skip would put himself in a game thinking, I'm better than all these kids, and then just get murdered, Be interesting to see what the timeline on that would be. Like, I'm guessing second quarter of the first game he coached. They're getting beat up immediately because he's terrible. And then he puts himself in. Like, you know what, guys? I got this. Every single one of you off the field, I can take on this other team by myself. He speaks of how Garrett has lost his team and they don't respect him. And then he thinks he'll get respect. Good luck with that. Yeah. No athlete likes you or has any respect. Yeah, if we could, oh God, how great would it be if we could, on Skip and Shannon's show, there was some sort of weird brain monitor that would like translate Shannon's thoughts during the whole program, It's just like what Shannon is really thinking about how he wants to punch him and calling him names that he can't say on air. Whew. Okay, guys. Let's get to it. Spygate 2. What the fuck? I mean, they're definitely guilty, right? Regardless of how you feel if that was actually cheating or not, they violated the fucking rule. And this is a team that should be really careful about that kind of thing. Man, I don't know if you heard the audio, but that guy just being like, well, we can get rid of this. And then the whole thing will go away. Nobody needs to get in any trouble here. That guy was nervous. Oh, man, it doesn't look good. Jeez Louise. I just, sorry for swearing just then. But it looks pretty terrible. And Skip, who hates Belichick, thinks it was an honest mistake. Which is just like crazy after seeing what we've seen and hearing what we've heard. And being told that like when they got busted years back for all this stuff, they were told to say they were part of Robert Kraft's production team working on like the exact same thing that they said this time. Like, come on. This is ridiculous. But I was thinking about it, like Skip probably doesn't want this to come down too hard on the Patriots because his guy, Tom Brady, benefits from all this cheating. So it looks bad. And I don't know how much any of these things really benefits. I know it all benefits, but like how, is this really the reason they won all the Super Bowls? But also, if this is the cheating we're seeing, then what are they getting away with? I don't know, man. I fucking hate the Patriots, and this makes me hate them so much more. But I wonder if Skip just really is just worried, like, for multiple reasons. Like, if they are busted, even though he hates Belichick, does that take anything away from Tom Brady? Because people already, there are plenty of people that think, well, they're all cheaters. So there's kind of an asterisk by all their Super Bowls. So for him, it's probably bad for that. And then on top of that, it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. Like, I think they should be punished very hard, like some draft picks, a huge fine, take a Super Bowl away, something crazy, fire Belichick, whatever. and Shannon's pushing for him to be fired or at the very least to be suspended like Sean Payton was for a year. And how interesting would that be next year if Belichick's out? A lot of people are speculating that Tom Brady is going to be kicked to the curb by Belichick because he's so ruthless and he's not playing at his best level. So maybe they were going to move on. But if Belichick gets booted for a year or whatever, or 6 months, you'd think maybe that gives Robert Kraft, who doesn't want to get rid of Brady, more incentive to keep him, hold on to him for a year if Brady doesn't retire. And then, that's going to be a rough year for Brady, I would think, without Belichick for the first time. There's all these people that want to see, like, who earned it more, and they always debate that on the show. Like, is it all Belichick or all Brady? I think Belichick definitely, even though he's a cheating bastard, has a lot more to do with the victories than Brady, even though Brady's great. I'm not taking away from how great he is. He's got 6 Super Bowls. The guy's good. So smart, so cerebral. Great kisser of his son, Not taking anything away from all that. But also, I think it is more Belichick, and, it'd be a weird kind of uneven. Brady's not at his peak, but, he'd be chomping at the bit to see if, like, I can win without Belichick. I want to prove it to the world. But be fun to watch him get stomped next year. God, please let it happen. One friend suggested, my pal Moose, that we gave a bunch of shout-outs to last week with Huntsberger. One friend, Moose, suggested for punishment that the whole team lines up to get kicked in the sack by everybody in America. And I'd be down for that. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think of what the punishment should be. Be curious to hear it from you guys. On the Patriots subject, Skip, again, he had been shitting all over N'Keal Harry for a while. Like, he had some missed throws, catches and stuff. But now he's just championing that, like, it's N'Keal Harry or bust. And how long before he jumps off this bandwagon? Because he was shitting on him, and then now saying, he's the the end all be all end all for the Patriots. So curious to see at what point he flips on N'Keal if he drops another pass or whatever. Stay tuned for that. Just wanted to mention that every once in a while, Skip and Shannon will have a guest on, and they'll do an interview, and it's very fun to watch because it's so bad. Mostly because Skip Bayless, as we've talked about on the podcast, especially like learning more about what his wife writes about their relationship, how like Skip doesn't do anything but watch sports, nothing else, which, sure, a few of you out there, we're all sports fans. We're on here. I watch a lot of sports, but if that's all you have going on, what other insight do you have to offer to an interview when you have like some incredible actor that's on or whatever? Perfect example. Well, weird example. He had Key from Key and Peele on, and very funny guy, obviously. And he asked him, what do you think about Jordan Peele's success? He just like, what a weird kind of shitty question. Like, hey, I don't care about what you're doing. Your buddy, he's like up for Oscars and stuff. What's going on with him? Let's talk about him. And like, look, Jordan Peele's a genius. It's great. And, but that's, it's kind of a weird question to ask someone that's not there. Hey, how's your friend doing? I don't care about you right now. This past week they had Victor Oladipo was on Masked Singer. Apparently, I have not watched 1 second of that show, but apparently he was on there, and they were asking him about his singing career. And Skip asked, "Well, you can sing. Can you rap?" And Victor goes, "No, not at all." And Skip goes, "Really?" Like he said it like that, like shocked. Which to me was so kind of awkward that, like, you're a black guy, but you can't rap? Are you sure about that? Little weird. That was kind of weird. Speaking of weird things to come out of his mouth, I don't even remember what the subject was because I was laughing so hard. But this is a quote from Skip Bayless, direct quote. Saquon has thighs that won't quit. What? It's best that I did forget what the rest of that was because it's funny to just have that completely out of context. Just a weird way to describe a running back. Saquon Barkley has thighs that won't quit. Couldn't help but notice, but on his Instagram, he posted this as well as his wife. His wife is new to Instagram, and I'll actually look right now to see if last I checked, he wasn't following his wife after he told everyone else to give her a follow. But they both posted that how super obsessed he is with sports, that like they were on a date and he was watching the Heisman Trophy ceremony while he was on the date. Like what? Oh, he does not follow her. Still doesn't follow her. But first of all, like who did any of you watch the ceremony? I think I've watched one Heisman ceremony and was like, well, this is boring as shit. Who gives? I just want to know who won. Like I might flip back and forth to like, who won? Oh, here it is. Just needed to know the name. But yeah, he's on a date with his wife. They're at dinner, and there's just a picture of him glued to his phone watching the Heisman Trophy while she eats. That is ridiculous. Now, moving on. Guys, not sure if you're aware, but Antonio Brown continues to be completely insane. Let's talk about it. Oh, man. Are you guys following his Twitter at all? Do you check it out? It is batshit crazy. Just so weird to watch. The other day, he posted out of nowhere, no context. That's a lot of his tweets. But he just said, where is it? No white women 2020. That's what he said. No more white woman 2020. Out of nowhere. Just there it is. Got 32,000 retweets, 108,000 likes. And now it's his pinned tweet. So that's interesting. So, there was that. And then maybe 2 nights ago, I think, he tweeted that his car had been stolen, and here's the address. And I think it was in Hollywood. I glanced at it and was like, oh, I'm going to get back to this in a second. And then I'm going to go to that address and record like a podcast right then and there about me outside of this home doing some journalistic investigating and see if AB shows up all crazy. But then I went back to look at it and it was gone. But he has been blasting his personal shit out there. It is nuts. He said, tow trucks, repo people, anyone, bring me my Bentley. He posted an address. Where it is, 6154 Northwest 41st Drive, Coral Springs, Florida. Police will not assist me. Like, what are you talking about? And you're gonna put that out there, like somebody's address like that, like even if they did steal your car. And it sounds like, I just have a feeling it's somebody that's tied to him. It's just nuts. And then he said, come get your daughter at GPAC, whoever that is. That's a Twitter handle. She bringing the police to my house 3 days in a row when she's blocked on my gate trying to say she stay here when she been staying in hotels. You came here Thanksgiving, stayed in hotel with her. You got her other 2 kids. Help her be her dad. What the fuck does any of that mean? And he's like blasting this dude for like not being there for his daughter, I guess. Just so weird to just put your really personal stuff out there, or somebody else's personal stuff, or both. He also said, minor problems to peoples with real problems. You cannot stress me all my problems. I snap my finger, gone. Some guy wrote at him, or tweeted at him, and that attitude keeps you unemployed and out of NFL. And then he said, "Sir, you think I give a fuck, IGAF? My mama a dyke, my daddy deadbeat. I'm the golden boy, FOH." Forgot what FOH stands for. I'm tired right now. But what? What was that? I've been glued to that. I get updates from his tweets. Been trying to tweet at him, get a reaction. When I do get a reaction, I'll be sure to post it to my Instagram, and you'll see it on Twitter, of course. But and feel free if you guys can get him saying something funny. Let me know how that goes. And but with all that said, I thought this was a joke. I thought that somebody like edited this, but there was I guess like a Facebook Live or Instagram Live, Antonio Brown dealing with cops at one point. Like he's just batshit. I don't know what's going on there, but well, none of us do. He doesn't know what's going on there. But with all that said, there's been an article floating around that there are at least 20 teams interested in him. Can you fucking believe that? That is insane. The NFL is such a goddamn mess. I don't want. Oh man, I mean the Cowboys. That would be such a nightmare anyway. But like, any of you guys want that maniac on your team? And okay, first of all, okay, let's say he gets reinstated. He is for sure going to be suspended. Probably, people are guessing between 6 games and a year. Let's say he gets a year suspension from the league. He has to start serving it next year before he can come back. Do you really think in that year's time, with all that time off, he's going to have his shit together and he's not going to create more problems? Like, there's a chance he comes back because the NFL will just give any of these idiots like chance after chance after chance. But I'm just saying that kind of idle time, it's not going to end well for that dude. Motherfucker's crazy. Ah, man. I'm going to get a Twitter beef with that guy. I'll be honest, my tweets at him so far have been weak, but just trying. I want to show you guys. I'm going to get some fun going. If you start a Twitter beef, let me know. Speaking of that kind of stuff, though, oh man, and forgive me who sent this to me or told me this. I did tell you I would give a shout out on the podcast about this or talk about it, but someone, and again, sorry for not giving you props. I meant to write it down, but someone messaged or added me on something that they had been blocked by Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless, the guy that says he never reads any of his mentions. So we know that's bullshit. Definitively, thanks to a listener of this podcast. So thanks for that. That means he does pay attention. This shit does bother him. So, fuck you. Speaking of people getting multiple chances, I'm just going to do some around the league news and notes. Josh Gordon got word today. He's out again. Dear Lord. How many times? I feel bad. He's clearly got addiction / maybe some mental health issues, but that's got to be his last time, right? There's no way he's coming back, right? Like he wasn't even playing at his God. What? He could have been like a Hall of Famer. He was so talented, and that's got to be it. Feel bad for him though, because that's if he is done, shit's not gonna help with his problems. Not sure if you saw it, but the Browns, after their latest loss to the Cardinals, apparently multiple Cleveland Browns were yelling at Cardinals coaches and stuff, "Come get me," like Earl Thomas did with the Cowboys last year. Like, hey, get me off my team. I want to come to you guys. Multiple Cleveland Browns saying that, which is not a good look for a team. And especially, hey, you guys remember at the beginning of the season when a lot of people were saying the Cleveland Browns could maybe go to the Super Bowl, easily get in the playoffs? Well, how's that looking? Just once again, proof that a good team on paper means nothing. It's a lot like that Eagles team years back, where Vince Young called them Dream Team or whatever. Man. Yeah, one of those people was Jarvis Landry, by the way. He's like, I want the fuck off this team. OBJ wants out. Jarvis wants out. There's other unnamed players that want out that were telling the Cardinals to come get him. Not looking good for Freddie Kitchens. Who would have guessed that wouldn't work out? Some guy that had can't remember was he running back coach or quarterback coach? Just, had Baker had a decent, second half of the season with him, and they're like, yeah, let's elevate that guy. That'll work out. I saw that coming a mile away. Ah, man, I would assume he's fired, but the Browns don't know how to make decisions. Of course, also Lamar Jackson broke Vic's record. The Bills clinched the playoff spot. Good news for my buddy Josh Potter, who will be back on the podcast soon. He's got to be ecstatic. That's pretty exciting. And the Seahawks, Green Bay clinched, as well as the Pats. And Drew Brees broke the all-time touchdown record tonight. That's crazy. And Oakland lost its fourth in a row on their way out of Oakland. Final game in Oakland, and they get another loss, and I'm not too upset about that. I hate John Gruden so much. And I believe Derek Carr got booed, so that's great. Meanwhile, Eli Manning got applauded on his way out. Crazy. Eli's going to be done. There it is, guys. End of an era. Oh, right. Guys, my favorite part of the podcast. It's rumor time. Let's do it. And as always, I always say rumor, but of course, this is, this took a lot of research, but I found this. I was trying to do research on Skip Bayless's lineage, and records were very hard to come by. So it was very frustrating. But after some heavy digging, I found that he was actually created in a lab after two scientists made a bet to see who could crossbreed the grossest combination of creatures to form the world's most disgusting specimen ever. So obviously, the scientist that created Skip in the lab won, and he did this by crossbreeding pubic lice with cockroaches. Yeah, kind of all makes sense now, doesn't it? Right? Doesn't that, it's all coming together, Man, I can't believe I got my hands on those top secret documents, but it happened. I've got some resources, so there's that, guys. Before I go, once again, rate, review, subscribe. Take a few seconds to share your thoughts about the show. Say some good things. Let's keep blowing this thing up a little bit. And also, on my website, they are now up. You can get your very own Fart Safari t-shirt or Burrito for President 2020 t-shirt as well. I have the burrito shirts in men and women. There's a women tank, men's t-shirt. The Fart Safari is just for men's t-shirt. It takes a special kind of guy to wear a Fart Safari shirt. But I appreciate those of you that have sent in pictures and stuff of you guys looking dapper in your Fart Safari shirts. Again, warning, if you wear a Burrito for President shirt, you will be constantly high-fived. They are a lot of fun. People seem to really dig them. Anyway, thanks for all the support. Thanks for listening. By the way, my battery on my computer is at 69%. Let's see if my phone's at 69%. 61. God damn it. So close to 69 squared, guys. Anyway, thanks for listening. Tune in next week. Hope your holiday shopping's going well. Take care. Talk to you soon. I just tried to hang up on you guys. That was weird. Till next week. Later. Peace.